everyone. This is Sonia. I am the co-founder of Beautyque NYC. Today we are partying like in the 70s, like at Studio 54, but at Studio Beautyque. Today's not only we're partying, but also we have the opportunity to meet with experts in the beauty industry, to share insight, helpful information for beauty business founders and also beauty lovers. Then let's welcome Mia Bell. Hi, Mia. Thanks for being here.
Hello, everyone. Oh, I'm so excited to be here in the celebration. Thank you.
Same here. Very excited too. Mia, she is the indie beauty entrepreneur's go-to expert for getting stock in store. She works with thousands of retailers, including giant like Target, Whole Foods, Anthropologie, you name it. Today, she is a wholesale, oh my God, with my French accent sometimes, a growth mentor who guides wholesale first-timers into store shelves and helps seasoned brands reach their next big retail goal. And in this meeting, we will be speaking about how to get your product line into store. Then without taking more time, let me ask you the first question, Mia.
How does Go ahead, I'm ready for you. And you know what? I say that I'm like, depending on what's happening, I'm either your wholesale doctor or surgeon or the wholesale nerd that you want to talk to because it's what I love talking about. It's all I do. I just can't imagine that this is where I landed in the beauty industry. You know, I personally never set out to work with retailers. You know, I had other aspirations, but then my decade-long career had different plans for me. So here I am. Go ahead. I'm ready for your first question.
That's life, you know, Mia. It's like we plan things and we find ourselves in a space where we thrive, and you are thriving in what you do.
It's such a fun ride, you guys. Wholesale can open up so many opportunities for you. It's, I always encourage it to open up that revenue stream.
Great. Then my first question. How does a brand know they are ready to start selling their product into stores?
Oh, I love answering this question for everyone because I feel like so many brands take themselves out of the running for reaching out to retailers or even their dream retailers. So let me tell you how you know that you're ready. So one, if you can take payments for your products, like a credit card. You can take a credit card payment. The next one, do you have products to sell? And the last one, can you ship those products? Then that means you can start selling to retailers. That's really, honestly, in a nutshell, all you need to get started. If you have those capabilities, you're good to go. However, everything else that comes along with it, I say, is just the icing to your cake, the structure to your house, the decorations that you put inside of it, so you have your presentation ready, right? So, and the structure to actually pursue and grow and scale wholesale. But if you can take payments, if you have products to sell, and if you can ship those products out to retailers, what's stopping you?
Let's say you're ready like that. Then you have a product to sell, you can take payments, you can ship it. Do they need a strategy, like a distribution strategy, depending on what they are targeting as a store?
And that's when we go into the icing and the embellishments of your awesome empire cake. So yes, you know, once you decide that you're going to go into retail, then you need to really, you know, some people go into a less complicated strategy. And I say, hey, if you want to start local with your local retailers, local loves local. Mm-hmm. They're going to embrace you and understand where you're starting from. Now, if you are someone that has that dream retailer, it's all or nothing, that's one of the first people that you're going to reach out to, then you do need to have a plan in place. And the different strategies are going to change. That plan is going to be different based on who you want to pursue. Are you going to go into the natural grocery channel? Like, let's say the Whole Foods of the world, the Sprouts markets of the world, those things? Or are you thinking of going into the Credo Beauties of the world, the detox markets of the world, etc.? Neiman Marcus, Saks Fifth Avenue. They all have different things. Mass channels, Target, your Target, all those guys, CVS's, Walgreens, then you have the mass pharmacy sector. So you have to really decide where you would like to start moving towards first, so you can have a plan and then decide several things. You need to decide how much money you're going to have behind you to support that business if they say yes, because once they say yes to you, then it unlocks a whole nother adventure of things that you have to be prepared for. And that's typically support. So those larger guys tend to have things like ad spend. They want you to spend money with them. They want you to collaborate with them in certain ways for marketing. That's going to take some money spent on top of that. But if you want to move towards your independent boutiques to get your feet wet, then that's relatively low cost. So yes, there is a distribution strategy that you have to decide on. And you just really need to work with someone that understands the different sectors. And then from there, you can get those insights based on, if you want to go here, this is what you need to be prepared for. And then you could say, ooh, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Or yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then from there, that's where you move forward.
And the planning should be, it's like the metaphor is like you have a dream job and, you start at school toward that dream job. Is almost the same for a brand. They have a dream retailer, then even when they start manufacturing or even thinking about the concept of the product, they have to keep in mind their dream retailer in that sense, because they check boxes.
Yes, all of that, Sonia, because look, there are many times I talk to so many product developers. We're for some reason, us wholesalers end up being really good friends with product developers, because we're the end and we see what's really hot in the market, because we're involved with what's selling well, right? What's next? What do retailers want? Then that feedback, product developers are like, tell me what we need to focus on, what ingredients. But at the same time, they're running into needing to now train their clients. They're asking someone like me to come on board and help them create a program to walk their clients through, okay, this is what you want to create, but where do you want to sell it? Because that's going to determine how we package it, what ingredients we put in there, the cost that this needs to come out to. Mm-hmm. So that way you are in alignment with those retailers. And usually what happens, Sonia, I'm going to say 7 out of 10 indie brands that I speak to, once they get to me here at the wholesale end, they haven't allocated funds for where they want to go. They haven't planned their packaging around their journey. And they haven't considered what pricing they needed to land at. So absolutely very important things, you guys, right from the beginning. Even if you're developing something new or adding to your product line, you always need to have the end in mind.
And this is why, because most of brand founders, some comes from the beauty industry and they know the road, but many don't know. And this is where they need a team. And one of the members of the team could be somebody like you, helping them around, along the journey for that, because it's a whole strategy to have.
Yeah. And what was so interesting? 10 years ago, it was almost like the wild, wild west. Like everybody that was not from the industry was jumping in to create a product line because they saw a need. So we had accountants jumping in and creating cosmetic lines. We had teachers coming in and creating skincare lines. We had stay-at-home moms that were creating, fragrance lines or clean wellness products that they felt a need for, right? And it was like the age of where everyone could be a rock star if they had the drive. Now, you guys, it's 10 years later. The industry has matured more, and people expect more from indies. So that means the performance has to be there, and the knowledge base, the business knowledge base has to be there as well. It's not as forgiving as it was before.
Absolutely. The structure has to be there.
Yes.
It's not
Yes.
like 10 years ago, as you said. And what are the best way to reach out to retailer in that case?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I am so glad you asked me that question because this is a big one. First of all, everybody psychs themselves out. You know, you're like, I get so nervous about thinking about reaching out to a retailer. And then when they want to reach out to a retailer, brand founders typically choose this one avenue because they think it's the best way to go about it, but it's not. It's actually not. And I caution you against it. Please promise me you're not going to do this. So one of the things that we think is relatively safe to do is to get a pretty package together, put our products in there, make it look awesome, send a beautiful note, and then ship it out to the retailer at our dream retailer. Okay, well, guess what happens, my friends? One, there's several things that are working against you. One, the buyer never spoke to you. They've never had a conversation with you. So they're going to get a package from a complete stranger. No matter how beautiful your package is, they're going to wonder who the heck you are and why the heck you sent this. And also, timing could also be working against you. If you're pursuing retailers that are more well-established, larger retailers, the legacy retailers, all the dream retailers, friends, they actually all tend to have their own individual product consideration calendars. So if you send your beautiful package to a buyer, but they're not in the schedule, it's not their time to look at that particular product category that you're in, it's most likely going to be shelved for later. And guess what? It most likely gets forgotten because you're not the only one that's sending packages. Thousands of other brands may be doing the same. And also the buyer, he or she is focused on the particular category that's important to them to buy right now. So where do your products go? In limbo. And the other thing that I don't enjoy about it is if you're sending it to a buyer in a corporate setting, the mail people make mistakes. Sometimes doesn't get delivered. There have been plenty of times where, and this was early on in my career, this was something that many brands did that I was taught to do too. We would follow up with the retailer buyer for the first time and they'd say, I never got the package and who are you? Whoa, that's not the best, right? Not the best way to introduce yourself or even to make an impression on a retailer, right? Even though you thought it was the safest way to go about it, but it really creates a lot of confusion for them and slight inconvenience, actually. So it rarely works, friends. Save your money, calm your nerves, all right? Don't do that to yourself because you are going to be wondering whether they got it or not. So don't put yourself in that limbo position. The best way to go about it, to be honest, is not cold calling. You can call. I always say, hey, if you want to talk to a buyer right away in their office, sure, you can do that. But in the end, they're going to end up asking you to do what I'm going to tell you is the best way to do it right now. Mm-hmm. I'm sure some of you guys might have an inkling of what it is.
I want to hear it.
It's via email. Good old introduction via email. And I know that as an entrepreneur, writing something like this, a pitch, an introduction email is so dang scary. And I was there, 10 years ago, first starting out in my career, feeling like I was going to lose my breakfast, feeling scared to even write anything. What was I going to write? What was I going to say? But the thing is, if you don't tell a buyer that you exist, they're never going to know about your product line. No matter how much marketing you throw into your social media, no matter how many ad spend you do, no matter how many influencers you work with, they're still getting bombarded buyers by thousands of inquiries. So you need to go to them directly. And that's via email. It's just the way that the world works. And look, you can really create a huge, you can make a huge impression with an email. And that's my go-to way. That's honestly how I've been able to work with thousands of retailers and land amazing deals for indie brands in my career, was just getting that email just right.
And the email should be like a short email introduction, who they are, the brand, what it is. Do they have to send a brand deck in that email, or should they not?
There's actually a science, and I'm not going to say it's like Mia science. I'm not going to say that, you know, like some official body created this science or whatever. It's mostly trial and error of sending thousands. I say it's the 10,000 pitch experiment.
Yeah.
Because that's literally what had to be sent for me to crack that, you know, eventually over time to figure out what worked. And so now that we have it down, I can just basically let you know that it doesn't have to be a novel. It does not. One of the things that brand founders try to do is cram so much information into that one email, when in fact, it actually has to be short, sweet, and highly impactful. To really honestly, what you need to do is let the retailer know how unmistakably, undeniably unique you are. And if you can do that, that's going to help. And yes, you also have to provide your wholesale information, which is a wholesale sales deck. I call it a wholesale pitch deck, but people call it by many names. You're going to hear sales sheet, line sheet, wholesale catalog. I mean, the names go on, but it's talking about the same asset, the same thing that tells retailers what your prices are, what your terms and conditions are, that shows your product line, that tells them even more about your product line. I say in a magnetic way, right? To really get them out of their seats excited. And then that's really what lets the retailer make an instant decision about you. Actually, a lot of brands think that it's the pitch that lands them the deal, when in fact, it's your pitch deck, the asset that you attach. That's the thing that allows a retailer then to have the financial information that they need to make a decision on you.
Because it's a business, it comes to dollars, you know, at the end. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, do you have the potential to sell? Is there excitement around your brand? And what is it going to take to work with you?
Yeah, thank you. And this is where, you know, you're pointing something important, because brand founders, we all try. I am a brand founder myself, and we try to do everything.
Yes.
And unfortunately, when we do everything, we're not skilled in everything. We have our strengths, our weaknesses. And this is where they leverage their time and money, even if it seems like it's an investment. Yeah. But it leverage the time and accelerate things, you know, toward the distribution, which is like an important part of the business, you know, to distribute our products.
Oh my gosh. The thing is, you know, we see it sometimes, we get tunnel vision and we go, oh my gosh, this retailer, but really, why are you going after retail? We got to remember what was the purpose of getting in retail. And you know what that is? Friends, you created the most incredible product that you know is going to change people's lives, is going to make a transformation possible for someone that's absolutely looking for you. And they're going to be able to have access to your products through retailers. That's the fastest way to get your products in the hands of people that you're going to absolutely wow and change their lives. This is why we do it. It's the money. Okay, the money is good. The rewards are great. The perks are amazing. But in the end, what was it all for? Was to actually spread that mission and purpose that you had.
Yeah. Reach out to the maximum of people, because you have something good to give to people. And this is, you know, at Beautyque, for us, this is why we really support brands that are mission driven, is because they have like a really strong mission. They are business minded, and it's about, you know, getting the word out there, people to know them. And this is like marketing, distribution. It's a whole system.
It snowballs so quick. It snowballs. It grows exponentially. I mean, you tap into one retailer, how many customers do they have access to daily? Then the other one, then another one, then the other one. Maybe you open a big retailer and that's 100 doors. The next one's 1,000 doors. What are you going to do with all that business and all those people having access to your product? So it's really about leveraging, right? Sonia, exactly as you were saying, how to work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, and it's smarter and not harder. I mean, the hard part is still there. You still have to work hard, but smart. I mean, you have to be smart. It's about really leveraging whatever resources is possible. And this is one of them, you know, to get the things out there. And this takes me to the other question about what's really makes a retailer, get excited to hear about a brand, you know, when someone reach out to them. What excites them?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So many times, and, having done wholesale for as long as I, or working with retailers for as long as I have, with thousands of different kinds of retailers, from your crunchy mom and pop co-op, markets to your big guys like Targets and Anthropologie, Credos, the Neiman Marcus's, and grocery stores like Whole Foods, CVS's, all those guys. Okay. You get to see a wide variety of retailers and their desires, but ultimately you distill it down to 4 core desires. And the thing is too, I review plenty of pitches. I work with brand founders to review their pitches. What have they been sending? Why is it not resonating? Let me tell you what I find most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I find that brands are saying the same thing. They're all using the same language, the same unique traits, the same unique selling proposition to try and show themselves as unique, when in fact they all show themselves as the same. And what are these things that we're saying? Natural, organic, clean, vegan, biobotanicals, natural performing ingredients. The thing is, my friends, that ship has sailed. Now what they're looking for are things that are going to resonate on these 4 core desires for a retailer. Okay. And what are they? So they've been distilled down. We've determined that if you hit these, and you can hit these with your messaging that you're telling retailers, not using your end consumer language, because that's why we get in trouble with using natural, organic, bio, clean. We're the same. They're going to be like, I've seen this before.
I heard it.
I've seen this before.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first core desire that retailers have is to be able to completely know right off the bat. They want to know that you are unlike anything that they already have on their shelf. So what are you going to do to show that? What are you going to do? What are you going to say to show that? Right? So you really got to dig deep in the DNA of your company, of your brand, and of your brand story, your founder story even, because that DNA is what birthed your brand and your product line in the way that you did. There's a lot more richness in there that I challenge you to dive into more. There's a unique fingerprint that you birthed with your product line. Retailers need to know what that is. So that's how you that's how they immediately, once they open your pitch, if they start reading it, they're going to be like, this is not like something we carry right now. Whoa. And you could be one skincare brand and they have 100 skincare brands, but yet you somehow are doing something unique in this particular way that everybody else on their shelf is not doing it in that way. Your unique DNA, right? The second one is will this create transformation for my customers? What transformation do you create with your products? Because friends, retailers are in the business of selling products, but ultimately why? Because they're looking to sell their customers an end result that in the end is going to make them happy and become loyal shoppers to this store. They need to wow their customers all the time. And that way they need to create some sort of transformation, some sort of results that they can see. So what is that? And I'm going to tell you that there is typically an error or a mistake that gets made here when you're trying to do this. So another thing that I see in pitches is brands call out certain ingredients, but then they leave it at that. They go, oh, we have so-and-so hyaluronic, we have goji extract, and then they just leave it at that. But you know what we have to remind ourselves about is that retailers are not cosmetic chemists. Buyers are absolutely not cosmetic formulators. They are not cosmetic chemists. Yes, they may have a smidgen, maybe some of them are aware of what these ingredients do, but they don't. You know who the expert on these ingredients are? You. And you picked those ingredients for a specific functionality in your product. So you need to tell them what those star ingredients do and what they're going to create for the customer.
It's about bringing the benefits more than the ingredients. Is that
yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you call out an ingredient because that's part of your DNA and that's what makes you part of what makes you undeniably unique in the market, well, you better be telling them what it does and how it's going to transform the customer's skin, life, wellness, whatever you're meant to transform, right? How is that part of it? So,
question, should it be like a simple way, not complicated way? Because I see in many occasions, the benefits are so complicated to understand, you know?
Yes.
I mean, being simple is something that you are advising to as well?
I'm saying, yeah, be simple and pick like the strongest transformation that your products create. Because look, first, I'm going to just throw it out there. I know skincare, okay? This is common in skincare and also in cosmetics. But skincare, I'm going to just pick that one specifically for now as an example. So people say it creates glowing skin. It improves the texture and tone of skin. It minimizes fine lines and wrinkles. Have we heard that before? From how many other brands?
Yes.
Okay, but why? Why does your line do that? Is it the certain ingredients that you put in there? Is it because they're multi-action? Or is it because there's one that's more powerful than the other? So which one do you need to call out? So these are the things you really got to, I challenge all of you, if you're listening to this right now, dive deep into it, right?
So interesting. I mean, any beauty brand who's listening to this is like priceless type of.
And I geek out on this. I mean, these are the things that, you know, in sessions, if people can't pull this out on their own, then we just sit down. Sometimes you just need another set of eyes. And I love this because as a salesperson, I'm like, help me find what I can get excited about to be fully committed to selling your brand. You know, I was a manufacturer's rep. This is how I built the 10 years I have is bringing indie brands in that are green, clean in the wellness and beauty space to retailers of all types and calibers. And you know how we got these opportunities were because we found it. We found that retailers were like, whoa, we don't have something like this on our shelf. Okay. So the first one, let me backtrack. The first one is, can you show a retailer that you are something unlike what they have on their shelf? 2, what transformation do you create? 3, is there excitement around your products? Is there excitement around your products? And retailers want to know this. Why? Because excitement translates to sales. So that excitement can always be found in what are your customers, you know, how can you showcase that you're really creating excitement and buzz around with your customers? What are they saying about your product? Do they love you? What do they love about you? And how can you show a retailer the different aspects, the different experiences that your products can create for people? And you know, one of the ways to show that is customer testimonials.
One of them, yeah. And I mean, any other things? So social media?
I always say go for customer testimonials because they speak volumes. They're an accredited, they're like, not you, right? Saying how awesome your brand is. And two, they're inexpensive, because a lot of brands wait until they have notable press, until they have some sort of marketing thing going on. That's taking the long road, the long way. Customer testimonials are an immediate way to be able to show that.
And this is so accessible for the brand founders.
Yeah, I know. It costs nothing. You just ask them, hey, and honestly, your customer is paying you to give you the shout out.
Give the testimonials, when you ask it, then you have, the whole system to gather the testimonials and follow up. All this is accessible. I mean, it's something super accessible. Would you say also in terms of social media, because I hear it, many brand founders, I have to have like 100,000 followers, to show that, I have engagement and people like it's sellable. Is it true? From what you see, do they have to have like a big following, on social media, like to be like superstars, or not especially?
Okay. I'm gonna just lay this out once and for all.
Yeah.
This is one of those big, ugly myths that revolves around wholesale. And one of my favorite things is to like debunk those, because it's not true. I've seen it happen thousands and thousands and thousands of times. All these brands that have just launched and are starting to have conversations with large retailers. Like, there is absolutely these things that we've been sold or we've been told we need to have. It's not true. Okay, so the first one, do you have to have a big social media following? No, absolutely not. No, because we go back to the core desires that a retailer has. And how do you show excitement? Part of that could be your social media following. If that's what you want to do, have a huge social media following, okay, go ahead and do that. Build it. Nobody's going to stop you. There's different benefits to having a large social media following. But does it actually matter to a retailer when you can show that there's excitement about your brand in other ways? No. So you don't have to, okay?
Okay, then you have the answer for whoever is asking the question.
That's the answer, no. And I'm going to say one other thing too, that's a huge, big myth as well. And I'm just going to, you guys, please don't believe this one anymore. Like, this is, let other people believe this. And then that's going to keep them from entering the race, and keep less competition out. But for you, you're going to know this. One of the other big myths that people say is that retailers find it annoying to be pitched.
No,
absolutely not. That is the biggest lie that gets shared. And you know why it's the biggest lie? Retailers are in the business of reselling other people's products. Without products like yours, they have no business. So it is their job to want to know about amazing products like yours. So if you're not reaching out to retailers and telling them you exist, you're missing the train. You're missing the shots you don't take.
Yeah,
someone else is going to come in and take the airtime from you.
So important to know that, because so many brand founders, they wait, and sometimes the train is passing. And thanks for bringing this.
And then there's a position that's around new product selection, and that's the person you're reaching out to, the buyer. That's why they exist.
Yeah, and the retailer are looking for new brands that are bringing, like you. Now you brought 3 core desires. Which is the fourth one?
The fourth one is meeting their financial needs. Okay, now we're talking about the money side of things. Now we're talking about the pricing side of things. Do you make business sense for that particular retailer to bring you in? Okay. And now this is going to be unique to each individual retailer. That's why you attach your wholesale pitch deck with your information, your pricing, all those things. Because if you're getting them excited by hitting all of these the first three core desires, then the fourth one is what cements the decision. Do you make financial sense for this retailer?
Four cores. I mean, these four cores, if you look at them in details, it gives you such a good idea to how to plan things, you know, when you are targeting your retailer and to leverage the time. I mean, it's working with people like Mia, you know, to get to that level, you know, to make it like super clear, super straight to the point, and you do your thing and you send to many retailers in the same time, whoever the retailer you're targeting, obviously. But thank you so much. Then the four cores, it's knowing our DNA. The second one is, you know, what results we are
Transformation.
bringing, the transformation. The third one is the excitement that you can bring with testimonial. And the fourth one is the financial meetings, you know, between both, if you are
Yeah.
the financial needs. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for that. Then, you know, my last question would be, what makes a brand, you know, successful in wholesale? In that,
Yeah. Yes. And you know, we have to look at what the long game, right? Okay, because most of the time we're focusing on the introduction part, the pitching part, and then what happens after that?
it's the start.
It's like there's a whole nother thing that gets unlocked once you're in. So what makes, you know, if you're going to really go for wholesale and you want to create a sustainable business, and I know that for many of you, you may be solopreneurs. You may be the only one that's in your company right now doing all the things and thinking, oh my gosh, if I unlock a certain retailer, or if I start building retailer, how am I going to handle it myself? All the things that I need to do. Okay, we're going to distill it down to these really three actions that you need to be paying attention to. If you make them a part of your blueprint going forward, the things that you take action on in your business around wholesale, you're going to be unstoppable. Okay, so the first one is to be actively introducing your product to retailers. Tell retailers you exist, please. If you don't, someone else is going to come in and do the wowing. Okay, so please, you have to actively reach out to retailers and also be aligned with the retailers that you want to reach out to. Okay, so it's easy to have a buckshot approach. What is that? That means that you literally just take your shot and you hope that one of those lands. We've got to be more strategic and mindful with your time, because your time is important. So one of the things you got to make sure is that you are reaching out to retailers that, based on your pricing, based on your customer base, all these things, you see that there is some sort of synergy and alignment. And also that you're unlike something that they generally don't have on their shelf. So that's going to give you that much more of a bump up in possibility of having a partnership with this retailer. Okay. And then second, you got to make sure that you're always delivering and fulfilling those orders like a pro. And really what that is making sure you're in communication with your buyer about, we received the purchase order, right? Every step of the way. We're shipping it now. We're shipping it on time based on everything. So that's where the business side of you, like the manager side of you, says, we have the purchase order. Now we really have to deliver every time. Get this out on time, professionally, with all the materials it needs to be attached to it. Good. That's the customer service. That's like the fulfillment side of it, right? And then the end part. Once you're in, make sure that you're doing what you can that's within your capabilities. Even if you're bootstrapping, there's a whole catalog of tactics that you can deploy based on where you are financially, with time also allotment, to support and nurture your retailers. Because you're not going to get rich on the first sale. You're not.
Absolutely not.
The riches are in the recurring orders that they're going to send you from that first order to as long as you guys are in business together. So we've got to keep those retail doors open. And that means supporting your retailers there's so many ways that you can go about it that really are low cost. Also, if you're bootstrapping it, but as you scale and as you go into bigger retailers, they're going to require certain nurture and support systems from you, but you can graduate into that.
And I mean, give us some examples how they can support the retailer. Is it by marketing or bringing a team in the stores? Or
I'm going to tell you the easiest things to do. And 9 out of 10 indie brands don't do this. So if you're the one that does it, you're going to gain so much loyalty and you're going to show yourself as such a professional to these retailers that you know what you're doing, that you're a good partner. You're a good egg. So here's the easiest things that you can do. Start a retailer dedicated newsletter. Deploy it once a month. That means you're only sending out 12 newsletters a year to your retailers. You know what you can include in there? Updates. Do you have new lifestyle images that you can share so that they can share those on their social media? Do you have any tips and tricks? That way the sales team can help customers with your product line. Do you have any frequently asked questions? Because if you're getting asked these questions, then why not share the answers with your retailers? Because then they're the ones that are going to get the questions.
Absolutely.
So simple, right? And it's dedicated to just your wholesale accounts. One other thing that you can do is honestly put them on your website. Create a store locator page. Because ultimately what they want is a 50-50 partnership. They're going to be doing what they can to allocate money to driving traffic in to the store to buy your product. But they want you to do things for them, to meet them halfway as well in the way that you can. What's a way to do that super easy? Is eyes that are coming into your website, if they want to find a spot where they can actually shop for your product in person or locally, that's where they're going to be able to see where they can find you. And ultimately, I do get some pushback on this one. It's interesting that I get some pushback on people listing their retailers. And you know what that pushback is? They say, well, then they're going to take my business.
Yeah, I hear it myself. I mean, we are a boutique and it's not like that automatic, you know.
But it's a faulty way of thinking, because friends, that retailer is going to end up buying from you to replenish. So those dollars are going to come back to you no matter what. In the end, you're going to win. That sale is going to come from the customer or as a huge another purchase order from this retailer who's excited to see traffic coming in from your customer base that you're funneling that way. It's a win-win. So it is a scarcity mindset thing that immediately I go, there's something deeper here. But if we just reframe that, you're going to win no matter what. And your retailer is going to want that.
You know, that's what you brought up. I mean, the brands, sometimes they expect the retailer to do the whole job, you know, and without any support, giving the support. But what you're bringing, you don't need to bring like such an expensive support. Doing newsletter, you know, just sharing the updates is so simple, cost effective, and it's a support for the retailer, and sharing the links, you know, of the store. I mean, all these things are so simple, not costly, and it's a partnership.
And they're so helpful. Friends, they're so helpful because at the end, you know who's selling your product? The staff at these stores who have thousands, maybe, depending on where you go, it could be thousands of products to choose from. If you're one of those brands that is offering insights, tips, support, even honestly, as easy as calling up and saying, hey, it's just me. How are you guys doing? Is there anything that I can help you with today with my product line? Guess who they're going to remember?
You.
They're going to then start to feel emotionally invested in you and your success. Those that have ever worked in retail, do you remember what product lines you tended to recommend more? Or in the restaurant bit, like, you know, those products that you actually have some sort of experience with in shape or form. It doesn't have to be that you put it on or you're using it, but maybe you've talked to the founder. You know, you got to see them, you got to talk to them, you know, they called you and you're like, oh my gosh, hi. You start creating those connections. They're not on commission. They don't really have to sell anything, to be honest. But when they feel like there's that honor system that they're attached to and some form of loyalty, that's going to go far.
Oh, this is, again, it's really priceless because it gives really a big idea on how things are working. And, many of the brand founders, as mentioned, indie brand founders, they don't know because they didn't get through that road. And thank you so much, I mean, for bringing this. And you started, there's a whole plan to start, but also a whole structure to keep it. Then, and that's why the drive is important, but the drive only is not enough. Then it's the structure, the plan, the organization. It's all together, many points, the team, the people who collaborate, and you are one of the main collaborator for this, for whoever brand works with you. And my last question would be, at what stage the brand come to see you, when they are, give me an idea of that.
Gosh, you know, it's really interesting. I work with two types of brand founders, and it's really at any stage of their business. Okay, but there are two camps. The first camp is they're launching their product line. They just launched it, but they knew that they wanted to start getting into retail. So they haven't started selling to retailers yet, but they want to have all of these structures. They want to have the insight. They want to know what they're going to get themselves into and prepare. They want to be able to have a magnetic pitch and to structure their wholesale deck in the way that's actually going to capture the attention of a retailer. They just want to do it right from the very beginning. Those are brands that come to work with me. That's the first camp. Mm-hmm. And actually, it makes their lives way easier when they have all these things in place, because now they just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, and they fly. There's so many clients that I've worked with that have recently launched their product line and have had conversations with large retailers, not even like 6 months from like their launch. And I'm just like, this is so cool. And they think it's amazing too. You know, it's like, it's that market validation that you deep down, you really want. You know, you want to know that you're doing something important, right? And to have that validation. Next is the other camp. And that's my awesome warriorpreneurs that have been in the game for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And something in wholesale is just not working for them. They're getting frustrated. They're not getting the opportunities that they know that they deserve. And then we basically come in, create the structures, give them the assets they need. We work together to uncover that DNA, and then things just refresh and it reactivates for them. So those are the two camps that come to work with me.
Yeah, then at any stage,
it really is. You know, the thing is, you just have to be, if you're frustrated enough and you know something's not working, how long are you going to wait to figure out the answer? You know, so if you get the answer, you can start moving right away.
Yeah. Listen, we're gonna have the contact information at the end of this meeting. You know, whoever wants to contact you, I'm sure, they will, because this is so important. Any brands, wants to be in the wholesale, not everyone, but most of the brands want to be in wholesale, and they have their target market, and that's the right road to take. And you will have Mia contact at the end of this meeting. This is really a very, very interesting discussion. I enjoyed it so much. Thank you so much, Mia, for sharing all these insights. I'm very excited personally to have you tonight. Then
Oh, and
thank
thank
you so
you.
much. Thank you so much.
Well, the thing is, it's not something that people like openly talk about, like marketing, like social media. But, whenever we get to talk about this, I just light up because it's not as scary as we all have been told it is. It's a lot of fun. It genuinely is. And I found the joy in working with retailers, pitching even. There is joy to be found in opening up wholesale.
Very much joy, and that you're bringing the joy. And during the pandemic, I mean, it was difficult for everyone, but also,
Yes.
It's an opportunity for business to shift gears because it's where entrepreneurs thrive also during a crisis. It's the time to change things because we are pushed. And this is how entrepreneurs react usually, is to thrive during that period. Retailer, obviously, it was tough on the retailer. How do you see the retail landscape going, from your experience? I didn't, I was like, no, this is like so interesting to know from your point of view.
Oh my gosh. Yes, yes. And I'm still, it's so cool because now having done the work that I've done over the last 10 years, I'm still friends with a lot of former buyers or that have moved on to new companies or even like little boutique owners, that it's awesome to get to talk to them candidly about what's happening in their retail business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's happening right now in the landscape is, yes, look, there are retailers that are struggling. Does that mean that all retail is struggling? Absolutely not. We know that there are winners right now because of just how the buying behaviors have shifted right now. This is only a phase. This is only a period that we all have to adapt to right now. So who's thriving? We got to go there, right? But the other thing that we got to understand is that retail is too big to fail.
Absolutely.
It's too big to fail. We need to go buy things from someone, unless we go back to Little House on the Prairie, days, or like back where we had to like trade things. Individual people needed to make things. I mean, we're never going to go back to that. Retail is too big to fail. So those retailers that are struggling right now, maybe they're smaller retailers, maybe they're retailers that are big but didn't have the infrastructure to survive the buyer behavior that's happening right now. They'll catch up. New retailers pop up every day, just like brands.
Yeah.
Even today, a decade, 11 years later, to be specific, I'm still running into new retailers.
Yeah.
And the opportunities there, just the opportunities there. Do not talk yourself out of, what's happening in your immediate realm might be different from someone else's. And just to let you know that the landscape is going to bounce back overall. And if you've pulled back, I need you to dig in.
Another question that comes from here, I mean, retail, I totally agree with you. Retail is too big to fail. People have to buy from somewhere. It's not only from the brands on the website. We need to have retailers around. But do you think that the retail will be, because some expect, we do prediction because we are an uncertain time, then we need to do that prediction to feel more safe, to know what's going on in the future. And many predictions are like, oh, the retail is going to be different. It's going to be a place to experience and people will buy online. I mean, the retailer will be there, but do you think they will be presented differently after the pandemic when things go back to a certain normal in terms of social life,
I have to tell you that everyone, even me, at first, we were like, what is going to happen? How is this going to change? Humans are very resourceful. And when we want something, we're going to get it back. So boutiques and events, oh, trust me, there's people already like waiting for the go sign to start having events again, to start having people in stores. And we're going to adapt it is something that's going to ripple, I think, you know, like extra hygiene and not having testers out, you know, that's going to be a ripple for the next, I'd say, plan 2 to 3 years more of that, for people to be a little bit more cautious. But we're going to find a way to be safe and gather. And that's going to be going to those beauty shows, to, you know, the retailer open house, and to be able to do these things. If we have to move it to the street, to do street fairs instead, we're going to do it. Online, you know, more demonstrations, more things that are going to come to you, you know, things like that. It's just going to adapt and it's going to change. But we're going to find a way to get back to what we want.
I agree with you, because a human is social by nature. Then we need to hug, we need to touch, we need to see people, we need to feel people, and the stores will be always there. Maybe, you know, the end buying, maybe it's going to be online. We don't know exactly how it's going to go, but the social gathering, being together for store retailer is going to be always there. It's, you know, and for us, let's say at Beautyque, we're going to do a pop-up in June, because for us, you know, Beautyque was meant to be a physical store.
Yes.
And we shifted to the digital this way. And as things are coming back, people are more vaccinated. We are doing a collaboration for June, you know, for 1 month, to put our feet a little bit, because we miss so much to be together, you know. Then it's such a need that we have. And I totally agree with you. I mean, this is something so in our nature, and we find a way to see each other and be together.
Yeah. I mean, do you think Target's going to shut down all their stores and go directly online? Absolutely not. You know, they know that people are going into stores. We can't help it. So it's too big to fail. And if you hold back, I need you to please dig in, because right now, this is a huge opportunity. There are brand founders, there are brands that have decided, hey, this is too uncertain for me right now. Let them paint that picture for themselves. Let them put themselves in that box. You, my friend, break out of it, dig deep, and you're gonna have some opportunities that people aren't tapping into right now.
Thank you so much, Mia. This was like,
you're welcome.
Insightful. Yeah, amazing. Then, you know, this was like a super deep dive into how to get into wholesale and how to make it successful and get to your dream retailer. Then thanks again for coming. Thanks to our visitors for coming tonight. It's a party night, but as you can see, you had so many information. We have many speakers today around, and don't hesitate to browse around. And if you need more information about Beautyque or Mia, you will have the information at the end of this meeting and the contact information. And don't hesitate. We're here to work with indie brands and to be together and collaborate. Don't forget, now it's time to party and go and dance and have fun and meet people. Then have a great night. Thanks for being here, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.